In the previous video I shared with you a hack of an inexpensive uninterruptible power supply to increase the capacity with a larger battery and also use it as a 12 volt DC uninterruptible power supply. And that does work, but I've learned a limitation to that firsthand, and we'll go into that a little bit in a little bit more depth. But here's the thing. Some of you, I'm sure, have heard of the floating ground problem with some inverters, and an uninterruptible power supply is an inverter, and it's a inverter and battery combination. And you know, that problem mostly occurs in cheaper inverters, and most UPSs are cheap inverters, and really there's no reason for them to do away with the floating ground problem, because they're not designed to be used this way. So most people would never even realize that it has the floating ground problem, nor does it affect the purpose that it's designed for. But when you do this hack, it does kind of limit what it can be used for. The bottom line, you can use it for a 12 volt power supply as long as the device that you're powering on 12 volts is not grounded. I have been using it to power a car stereo that is in my computer room right now, because I'm using it as a powered speaker setup, basically. Car stereo and a pair of speakers, and that's what I use for my computer sound system. And it's been working fine for that. But you can use it for two-way radios too, as long as the antenna is not grounded and the radio itself is not grounded. So here's what I tried. I connected it to my old Scout, Tentec Scout, and it was working fine. I didn't have the antenna connected, and then I connected an outside antenna to it, and you can see the burn mark on the SO239 antenna connector. As soon as I brought the connector in contact with it to connect the antenna, I got an arc, and the UPS quit working. So what it did is it shorted to the existing ground. So like I said, as long as you're using 12 volts to a device that is not grounded to your electrical ground system, it works. But when it becomes connected to your existing ground system, it can short. Fortunately, it didn't kill the radio, didn't damage the radio, and didn't damage the battery. The battery's fine. But it did take out the UPS. And I haven't opened it yet to see if it's fixable. I'm going to do that today. But it's still showing, right now it's at 1265. I've still been using this to power that car stereo for the past few days, and it's still only down to 12.65, but it is getting to be time to charge it again. And let's just try plugging this in. When I did before, it didn't do anything. You know, I made sure not to touch anything metallic with my offhand when I plugged that in. Just in case. Okay, nothing. there's a circuit breaker right here, and it doesn't seem to have actually tripped the circuit breaker. It probably burned a trace or something. And here's an indicator for building wiring fault, and that's not on either. I did notice that this light was on when it was still working. But so let's unplug it. Now we'll open it up and see what it looks like inside. So here's the inverter board. Let me zoom in on it a little more. Right underneath the DC wires here, right there, there is you can see it right there. There it is. There's a 40 amp fuse, and that fuse is blown. That's not a major deal. That can be replaced. There is also, looking on the back side, there we go. That is a bridge rectifier. And you see that nice toasty spot. Looks like it just blew out. I don't know, maybe I'll attempt to repair that board, but it's not going to be on a front burner right now. I think what I'll probably do is, since I can get these things new for $45 shipped, I might just buy a new one, unless I happen to run across another one that's scrap. But you know, this has some components on it I might be able to use, or I might decide to go ahead and fix it, or see if I can fix it. The problem is, I replaced the fuse, I replaced the rectifier, and then there might be something else internally that, you know, as cheap as these things are, it might just be, you know, more effort than it's worth to fix it. But there's a good chance, though, that it can be fixed, and I might at some point try to fix it. But at this point, I'm probably just going to use the battery and use another charger with it, and maybe buy another one of these as a backup for my computer, because like I said, you know, this works well with non-grounded type DC stuff, and has been working well with that. But I really want to be able to use it with radios with external antennas, and I can't do that with a setup like this. So it's just something to be aware of. Thanks for watching.